We have gotten some twists and turns in video games this year, without question. Just some crazy stuff that you never expect, and we really want to go over this stuff. Hi folks, it's Falcon. Today on gameranx, 10 holy shit gaming moments of 2023. Now, before we get going, I have to say to you, this one is spoilers all the way down. We are talking about some of the biggest, craziest moments in games from 2023. Starting off with number 10, it's Venom from Marvel's Spider-Man 2. There's nothing surprising about Venom being in the game. Don't think that I'm saying that. His inclusion was one of the very first things we saw, or in the trailer's case, even heard about the game. Everybody knew that Venom was showing up eventually, but when he finally does, it is one hell of a shocking moment. Yeah, it happens at a moment where the story takes a dramatic twist, and it seems like everything is pretty much resolved at that point, but of course the story isn't over yet. You can't have a Black Suit Saga story without it ending with Venom, so things of course go wrong at the worst possible moment. The thing that really makes this segment amazing is you play as Venom. For his first appearance, you don't just get to see how powerful Venom is, you actually get to experience it with this incredible rampage, first through Oscorp and then taking things to Times Square where you have a final encounter with Kraven. It is a spectacular sequence, and not just a QTE, you get full control. It's literally a new character with his own powers and abilities, like if you crossed Hulk with Spider-Man, and it is so much fun to play as Venom.
Is it the spider?
No, something else. Something better.
And number 9 is New Game Plus and Starfield. I know this one got spoiled for a lot of people, which lessened the impact of the whole thing, but for people who got to experience it fresh, New Game Plus is mind-blowing. It's a common feature in a lot of RPGs, but I've never seen it incorporated into the story like it is here, at least not with something with the scale of Starfield. At the end of the game, after collecting all the artifacts and taking a one-way trip to the center of the universe, you meet you, who congratulates you for getting this far. After seeing visions of the future that you have made possible with your choices, you step into the light and become one with the universe. The credits roll and you wake up in a Starborn ship equipped with special Starborn armor. So the Starborn are the primary antagonists of the game, these super advanced beings who try to stop your mission and keep you from collecting all the artifacts. Now, you're one of them, and the bonus equipment and ship is just the beginning. You now take the trip to Constellation and use special Starborn dialogue options that let you use all the knowledge of things that happened in the first run to make things easier for yourself now. Taking the Starborn option at the start lets you skip the entire story of the game, for example, and there are a lot of moments where you use Starborn knowledge to skip portions or just do some weird role-playing.
I see.
You're taking their word for it?
Why don't we hear him out?
The thing that makes the Starborn stuff mind-blowing, at least to me, is when you beat the game again, you find out that things can be wildly different when you return to the Constellation. Like, you can return and find that the Hunters already killed everyone, or find the place filled up with multiple versions of you, or for some reason there's a bunch of little kids running Constellation instead. I mean, there's a lot of different variants.
I'm Sarah Morgan. Welcome to Constellation.
I thought I was playing Sarah Morgan. You're supposed to be Sam Coe.
No one can play Sam Coe until we find the right hat. Wait, I know who you are. You're the last member.
The last member? No way!
And number 8 is Leaving the Tower in Ghost Runner 2. Other than a few welcome gameplay changes, I wouldn't fault someone for seeing Ghost Runner 2 and thinking, it's just the first game, but more. The entire first half or so of the game is set in the same locations as the first game, and you fight mostly the same enemies. There are some fun twists on things. The new guard button makes a lot of enemies a lot easier to deal with, and arguably more fun. At least that's my thought. But otherwise, it's mostly just more Ghost Runner. And that's not a bad thing. I love Ghost Runner. I'll definitely play more Ghost Runner. But by the halfway mark, you're probably wondering if the game really has a lot else to show you. Fortunately, it does. At a certain point in the game, you find a motorcycle and suddenly chasing a guy at absurd speeds through deadly tunnels where any wrong move leads to instant death. It is a crazy sequence that only gets crazier when you leave the tower and start driving down the exterior in a sequence that's like the climactic Halo tunnel run but on steroids. It's a long way down, but the entire section is exhilarating. You're probably going to die a lot, but damn if it's not cool. The real holy shit moment hit me once the next mission started and the new normal started to set in. The bike isn't just for show. You can ride it and get off whenever you want. It's actually a crucial tool, not just a one-and-done gimmick. Now the game is switching seamlessly between motorcycle segments and more traditional combat segments, but it's all in a completely different environment fighting new enemies. This is the moment when Ghost Runner 2 goes from a cool continuation to a real evolution of the formula of the first game, and it is awesome to see smaller studios not only show this kind of ambition, but deliver on it.
Jack, are you okay?
I'm alive.
Well, you see Mitra out there?
Just creeps. A lot of creeps. How are they alive out here?
Duh, that was their whole point.
And number 7 is the Trident from Star Wars Jedi Survivor. This game likes to spread out its set pieces. Not a lot of them, but when they happen, you remember them. For me, the wildest is when you get to fight the Trident-class assault ship at the Pilgrim Sanctuary. Less of a boss and more of a giant set piece. The death ray firing robot hounds you while you're trying to explore the Jedi ruins in Jedha. There are a whole lot of explosions, some wild platforming segments, and a truly chaotic final confrontation with the thing where you're teleporting all over the place with Marin's help. The whole segment is pure spectacle, and honestly, it's not that common in this game. You go on for long stretches without any over-the-top crazy stuff happening. So when it suddenly pulls out all the stops with something like this, it is crazy surprising.
There's nowhere left to run.
And we stand together.
Now or never.
And number 6 is finally entering the Sea of Stars in the game Sea of Stars. You know, a game titled Sea of Stars. A game that actually takes a really long time to get into the Star Seed. For a lot of the game, you don't even know what it is, but it's in the title, so it's got to be important, right? Well, after an extremely convoluted quest to finally open the way to the place, the game takes you on this long, slow build-up before you finally reach the sea, inexplicably deep underground. You start by sailing like normal, but as you explore the view, suddenly, unexpectedly, it transitions into 3D, and you are now rocketing through space. Keep in mind, this is an old school RPG throwback. The entire thing has been an isometric view, and there's been nothing up to this point to suggest that this would ever change. It's also the only time the game does this. It goes 3D for a big spectacular magic space ride and doesn't do it again. After passing through the sea, the next mind-blowing moment hits when you realize you've traveled to a completely new world with a new map and everything. Yeah, this is an RPG staple. Old school games pulled this trick all the time, but seeing an indie do something this ambitious is fairly surprising, especially because the world you find yourself in is this post-apocalyptic future filled with sci-fi tech bases and murderous robots, a complete departure from the traditional fantasy world that's been the setting of the game up until this point. And number 5 is Armageddon in Mortal Kombat 1. For most of the game, the story mode in Mortal Kombat 1 is a straightforward remixing of the events of Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, the original Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. Not to say that's boring, but there's nothing holy shit worthy going on for the vast majority of it. It's just another solid Mortal Kombat story mode. Nothing shocking about that. They've been doing that for a long time. At the end, though, things go off the goddamn rails. It's revealed that the force of evil messing with Liu Kang's new era is none other than Shang Tsung. More specifically, an alternate universe Shang Tsung that won at the end of Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath's story mode. This reveals that both endings to Mortal Kombat 11 were canon. It's just that each character became a god in their own universe. That's wild enough, but things get really insane when Shang Tsung ascends the pyramid from Mortal Kombat Armageddon, everyone's favorite Mortal Kombat game. In the final chapter, the game lets you play as whoever you want from the story mode as you climb the tower and face off against an army of bizarre alternate universe versions of the Mortal Kombat crew. What makes this especially impressive is that many of these enemies are randomly generated. There's certain ones that always show up, but many only have a chance of appearing from a much larger pool of alternate fighters. For longtime Mortal Kombat fans, this stuff is awesome, and it's fun to see NetherRealm acknowledge the greater MK universe. With this ending, it seems like basically anything is possible for the series now, and even though we're getting a little tired of multiverses in fiction, the finale to Mortal Kombat 1 is so ridiculous and entertaining, we gotta give it a pass. I mean, it's not like multiverses are bad, it's that when you use it as a tool to not have to tell a real story, it's dumb, and that's not the case here. And number 4 is the Horus from Horizon Burning Shores. If you've played the Horizon games, you know what a Horus is. They're the gigantic multi-armed machines you can see all over the place, the metal devils that were the driving force behind the destruction of mankind in the backstory of the games. These things get a lot of build-up in both Horizon 1 and 2, and disappointingly, you never face one until now. It took a long time to get here, but finally, in the Burning Shores DLC, you finally get to battle one of these metal monstrosities, and man, did they make it worth the wait. For a while, it seems like the game might shortchange us again when the mission starts, and you're mostly just avoiding the thing's field of view, working your way around its huge robot tentacles, but there's a full boss fight with this thing, and it is as impressive as you want it to be. Just seeing this massive machine stomp around is a sight to behold, and actually fighting it is fun as hell. I mean, the fact that you're able to take this giant death machine with a bow and arrow is ridiculous, but they do at least try to justify it a little bit by saying the Horus is much weaker than a normal one would be. By the time you're crawling around this thing's insides and battling the guy controlling the Horus at its core, I think that's when it's safe to say you got your money's worth. The rest of the DLC may have been a bit of been there, done that for Horizon fans, but the climax is such a crazy spectacle, it's worth slogging through everything else.
Okay, gotta intercept the Horus, then go after its heatsink. Ah! This flying thing's not bad! Whoa! You're, doing great!
And number 3 is the bank heist in RoboCop Rogue City. The amount of bad guys you shoot in this game is almost unbelievable. You kill so many bad guys in this game. I want to say something like half of them come from this mission, though, which can't be right, but when you see it, it feels like it. I don't think there's anybody left in Detroit after this bank heist. At least anybody bad. You killed all the bad guys, I think, here. Even by the already absurd standards this game has, this mission, which you take on around halfway through the game, is totally insane, just from how many guys you shoot and how much destruction you unleash. It starts off basic enough. Some creeps are robbing the OCP bank, so they send in RoboCop to stop it. In any rational world, there'd be like 4 guys tops holding this place up, but in the world of RoboCop, there are hundreds of guys in this place, and it is like a conga line of death. Like, they're just standing in place like a shooting gallery. And what makes it even more over the top is it's not just RoboCop on the case. There is an entire SWAT team and a couple of ED-209s tagging along. At least for the first half of the mission, it's a race to see who can rack up the higher body count. In any other game, it wouldn't even be close, but in this game, your allies are killing just as many guys as you are, which is a lot. Throw in all of the environmental destruction, and you have one of the most gloriously unhinged missions of the year. And number 2 is Titan Lost from Final Fantasy XVI. The icon battles in this game are over-the-top spectacles. Honestly, some of them might actually be more impressive than this one, but this is the first fight that really shows just how crazy these things can get. It is a non-stop spectacle that puts most action games out there to shame, let alone RPGs. It starts off impressive enough with you transforming into a Freet form and fighting a giant Titan. This part of the fight would have been more than enough, but after seemingly beating him, things get really over the top when Titan transforms into Titan Lost, a building-sized monster that you spend half the fight just trying to get close enough to attack. The entire lead up where you're running up to its gigantic arms or tentacles or whatever, while it is trying to kill you, is wild. And the way they're actually able to mix in the gameplay and not just make it a big QTE is super appreciated as well. It doesn't even end there. You still have to kill Titan one last time by beating the hell out of him while falling into the endless abyss. This fight is long as hell, but it is so much fun. finally, at number 1, Herald of Darkness from Alan Wake 2. If you want to see Remedy without guardrails, play Alan Wake 2. This game is a completely insane joyride of whatever madness they can come up with that just never lets up on how weird it is. It's amazing. There are many moments you could easily qualify this list with in this game, and depending on who you ask, it may be more appropriate, but if I have to pick one, it's going to be Herald of Darkness. Yeah, they remember the ashtray maze of Control, how everybody was like, oh my god, the ashtray maze is like nothing I've ever played. Yeah, no, Herald of Darkness throws down, takes the ashtray maze and goes, yeah, we can do more than that. This is a playable rock opera that recounts the life of Alan Wake, and you could say, why is this happening at pretty much any point in the game? And I'm not really 100% sure, but this is what I want. I'll say that right now. Once again, Alan finds himself on the talk show set of the enigmatic Mr. Door. Also, Sam Lake is there, playing Sam Lake, the actor who plays Sam Casey in the movies, which is also Max Payne, who Sam Lake modeled to be in the first Max Payne game. Also, Sam Lake is the writer for this game, Max Payne, Control, and basically the head of the Remedy Expanded Universe. So, I mean, you could say it adds a meta layer to the whole thing, but I think one layer is definitely not enough to describe what's going on here. Door asks Alan about his life, and somehow it turns into this song, which is also a dance number, and it's completely wild. How this works in terms of gameplay is that you're going through a dark environment, giant screens show singing and dancing as you progress through the level. Throughout the whole thing, the old gods of Asgard, actually Remedy favorites, real band Poets of the Fall, who have been doing songs for them since Max Payne 2, are playing the song Herald of Darkness, a 14-plus minute song that basically explains the entire backstory of the game. It's a standout sequence in a game that's filled with them, so I think it's the obvious pick here, and every gaming outlet under the sun has talked about it at least some, but there's a reason this segment got so much attention. It's a technical marvel, and it's also really fun to play. I also have a quick bonus for you, the end of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 campaign. All the entries on this list made us say holy shit in a good way, but this didn't. It was more of a, that's it, seriously, like, holy shit, dude. It was more like that. Because seriously, who saw the end of this thing and walked away satisfied? Was there anyone? There's a finally pretty decent, but still too short mission where you try to stop Makarov from planting a bomb. Soap gets shot, the bad guy gets away, there's sort of a denouement, then cut to credits. $70. 70 big ones. Okay, at this point nobody's buying these games just for the campaign, but that was pathetic. After a meandering, boring campaign made up of mostly reused Warzone maps, this is how they end it, without an ending. Like, it's so disappointing that honestly it would have been better if they didn't include a campaign. That's seriously the level it's at. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconandHero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.